nothing but faith. There's things far too great that I want to accomplish. I'm hoping 25 hours a day, but something good works out, and I'm just like, dang. Think everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, I'm like, dang. Think you might just know the way. I'm like, dang.
Welcome to Dang.
Dang! I'm Todd Bridges.
And I'm Bettijo Bridges, and our guest today is Kita Centella, a true survivor whose journey from addiction and prison to plant-based healing is nothing short of incredible. She now runs the Loose Leaf Tea Market, which has an informative website and helps people kick sugar cravings and reclaim their health one healing cup at a time. Welcome, Kita.
Thank you so much for inviting me on your show.
Oh, definitely.
We're so glad you're here. And you've said that plants saved your life. Tell us what you mean by that.
My journey with plants started when I was very newly sober, when I was in prison back in the 1980s. And when I say plants healed my life, it started off as a spiritual journey. Before I learned the medicinal properties of it, my mentor, a woman who took me under her wing, she was Native American. And she did not like to call herself a medicine woman, but that is kind of what she was.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
And you met her in prison?
Yes. She was a fellow inmate.
Oh,
Gotcha.
wow.
Yes, but she.
Todd was also in prison in the 80s.
Oh wow, the 80s.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Except for plants did not save my life.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
keep
that's
going.
okay,
So
yes.
you met this amazing person.
Yes. And she saw something in me, and we really clicked. And she taught me about using certain plants, like spiritually, like smudging with sage and with cedar and evergreens and stuff to. I mean, I don't know how woo-woo you guys like to go, but I'll just go there.
I love that stuff. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Well, according to the traditional ways to use the herbs, she described it as healing holes in your aura. When you fan that sacred smoke over yourself, it helps to like kind of patch up the damage that's been done. And there's so much damage that happens to us when we're in the throes of addiction.
Yeah.
You know, we allow violations to happen to ourselves in every single way. And so using the herbs in that way was my introduction to using the spirit of plants to heal on a very subtle level, which, you know, a lot of people, it's in reverse. Like they'll learn the physical medicinal ways to use plants, and then they'll start to get into the spiritual. But for me, it was the other way around. And I was taught by her and then other mentors at the time to really take the time to develop a relationship with the plants, that they're alive, that they're here on this earth to help people if we'll only take the time to ask and to listen and to take it seriously. And here's the really important thing when I say that they saved my life. They saved my life because I used them. And I did not rely on substances
Yes.
to get me through a bad day. I used the plants instead. And this is really where it made all the difference is I chose to go that route. And so, because it was really changing my life, at that time, I made a commitment to learn about as much as I could about the plants and then to share what I learned with the world. And because I made this commitment, it was the decision that this is what I'm going to use rather than something that's self-destructive.
What was the first plant that helped you on your journey?
It was the smudging herbs.
Smudging herbs?
Yeah.
Which is, and which herbs are those?
It was sage.
Sage,
It was
okay.
white sage. It
White
was
sage.
desert sage. It was cedar, juniper, evergreens. And
How did you guys have access to that?
because of something to do with freedom of religion.
Oh, freedom of religion? Okay.
Yes, and because she is Native, that she had access to all
She
that.
was able to get it and
Yes.
have it. That's really
And she's
cool.
out also right now?
She is.
Are you guys still in contact?
No, we haven't been in contact. Haven't been in contact for a long time. She was like, we were very close for a time, and then, we grew apart.
Yeah.
She had her own journey to go on.
But she kind of turned you into a medicine woman a little bit.
I would never call myself that, but
I mean,
I
Native
call myself an
American
herbalist.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you like the plants, they'll, right now, if a white person says they use cedar and sage, people are going to get all mad about cultural appropriation and stuff like that. And, I never want to step on anybody's toes, but at the same time, these are healing plants.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you use them in the right way, and not in a way that shows like, hey, I'm super spiritual or I'm
No,
this,
it's
but
out of respect, and she taught you a truth
Yes.
that you needed.
Yes.
And that all people can benefit from.
all people can benefit when you use it in the right way. And, after I started learning about plants, I learned that you don't have to just use sage.
Yeah.
You can use rosemary, which is, a native to Europe, it's a European plant. Or you can use lavender, you can use patchouli, you can use evergreens, which grow everywhere. So,
Wow, and so you kind of burn and smudge with those like you would sage.
yes.
Oh,
Exactly the same.
interesting.
And there's something that's really, if you want to go there with this, it was believed before germ theory that these aromatic plants, not just with indigenous people, but in Europe and stuff, they would burn these fragrant aromatic plants to drive away evil spirits. They thought that illness was evil spirits.
Yeah.
Well, germs, maybe they are little tiny evil spirits,
And-
microscopic evil
it's
spirits.
interesting that most Native Americans didn't have all these diseases until the Europeans came,
Right.
and they brought all these diseases.
Yes.
because they were healed naturally. I know there's even mushrooms. Like if you have a cut, you can put a certain mushroom on your cut, and it'll heal your cut.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of things out there that do that, and the Europeans brought all the diseases over to Native Americans.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Who
that
didn't
was their
have
biggest battle.
who
Yeah.
didn't have that innate
Yeah.
immunity. But
Yeah.
what makes these herbs work is that they contain essential oils, and essential
Gotcha.
oils are antimicrobial.
Yeah.
They kill germs.
yeah.
So when you burn it, it releases those volatile oils into the atmosphere. Like they were using rosemary, burned rosemary, as a fumigant in French hospitals up until around World War II.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, because when the Europeans came here, they didn't bring those plants with them that could have helped heal the Native Americans. They could have used those plants, but they didn't have those plants here.
Right.
Well, they had
So it's
their
different.
other ones too, but it's interesting that
Yeah.
they didn't know what was happening on that microbial level.
Right.
But
Yeah.
now we can look back and say, well, that's why that worked.
Right. Yeah. So
That's
it's
so cool.
It's really amazing how science has borne out what folk
Yeah.
healers have known for millennia.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I truly believe that there's always a plant for something out there.
There sure
Yeah.
is.
I definitely
But
believe
we
that.
have to use it.
Yes.
Yep.
So we can't just get it and then leave it in the cupboard.
No, yeah,
Yes,
you have to
and know
use it,
how
yeah.
to use it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, take us back to the beginning of your story. Where does your story begin, Kita?
Well, I really don't know really where to tell you that, because just like everybody, it starts at the beginning. It starts where, we're little kids. We have our own unique interests. I think that I probably had hypoglycemia as a child based on what I've learned about hypoglycemia later on. And so I was a bad kid. I was trouble. I was difficult. And so that kind of set the trajectory, because the adults didn't know really what to do with me either. So I probably would have had a diagnosis, but
It was you weren't diagnosed anywhere.
right.
So yeah.
So it was just it was a little bit challenging, and then I got into substances rather early. I think I was 13 when I started smoking weed. I was 10 years old smoking cigarettes. So, when I had, let you know that I was an everything addict back then, it was sugar, it was cigarettes, it was weed. And then when I was 16, I started drinking. And then I started drugs after that. So
Well, definitely back then when we were kids, you could go to the store and buy cigarettes.
you sure could. right out of the machine.
Right out of the machine. Or you can buy from the store. They just say, hey, my mom told me to come get these cigarettes. And they'd be like, all right.
Exactly.
And then we
Yeah.
were looking at something like that recently. And then, or you had to have a note from your mom
Right.
to buy cigarettes, which is like the worst thing ever.
Yeah, because if you have nice handwriting,
Yes,
you can just
right?
write your own
Exactly.
note. Yeah. So we had plenty of opportunity to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of it. Anybody's life is a long story, and how they,
Yeah.
like what drives us to addiction, what holes there are, and that there's like, I'm sure, with your journey, Todd, you have plenty in that
My journey
department
had to
too.
do with me believing that everything was supposed to be fair. And then finding out that it wasn't.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And I came from San Francisco, where like I never experienced racism in San Francisco. Came to California, Southern California, and it was like a whole big change. And then my dad was, alcoholic, and then so I decided to try to hurt him, I became addicted. And but my mom saved my life. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, my mom was what saved my life.
Okay.
She never gave up on me. She kept trying, and finally I got it through
Love that.
AA and those programs. That's how I got it.
Wow.
Well, and even with the rehab that finally made a difference for Todd, they had found out there was something your brain
Yeah, my
needed.
brain had
What-
stopped producing. You know how that sulfuric acid goes in your brain, and when you get upset, it calms you down. My brain had stopped producing that, so they got me on Depakote, and Depakote started reactivating that. And I'm sure Depakote was probably made from plants and all the other stuff it was made from.
Maybe originally.
Yeah. And then it all of a sudden when it started reactivating that, I didn't have to take it anymore, but I could have a second thought. I didn't have a second thought process. The drugs had made me to where if something said punch you in the face, I just punch you in the face. There was no stopping it. But with the Depakote, what had happened was if I thought about punching your face, I would go, no, that's not right. You can't do that. And I wouldn't do it. So
It became your filter.
yeah.
creating that
Yeah.
correction.
But you're saying tea can do this, right?
Well, all right. For me, it was sugar.
Okay.
Okay, because when your blood sugar is low, you might not even recognize that your blood sugar is low. Like I know for me,
Yeah.
the way I used to get, and my ex-husband was really good at recognizing this in me. Is when I started to go off the rails, he stopped listening to me because I would just be like going off on stuff because my mood was extremely unstable. So he would just tune me out and make me food. I would say, I'm not even hungry. What are you talking about? Because when your blood sugar gets really low, you might lose all sense of your hunger, your focus, all of that. And then he would feed me, and then I would feel better. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
And the interesting part about it is the tough part, especially in America, is that we have so many fake sugars, and the sugar is definitely so processed to the point that it's not even real anymore.
Well-
And I think that's got to be really bad for our system.
We eat way too much of it too.
Yeah.
So yes, so back to what you're saying, can a tea help? Absolutely, especially if sugar is the problem.
What sort of herbs are you looking for to help
Yeah.
with the sugar?
So
Addiction.
there's a really unique herb from India. It's called Gymnema Sylvestre. And Gymnema has a unique compound in it called gymnemic acid, which is a similar size and shape to the sugar molecule. And so when you drink a tea that has gymnema in it, that gymnemic acid fills in the sugar receptors on your tongue, and that's going to temporarily block your perception of the sweet flavor. Now,
Wow, really?
Yeah, so it only lasts about 20 minutes.
Is that in this one?
It is.
How long does it last?
About
This is one
20
of-
minutes.
This is one
Wow,
of her
that's
teas.
pretty good though, because by then you may not want, to eat that sugar.
As long as you give yourself 5 to 20 minutes, you will get over that hump. But when you have an addiction, if you are able to, number one, make a decision that you're not going to use that.
Yeah.
And then number two, when you feel the craving, just like when you said with that medication did for you, it allowed you to stop and think. You didn't just act. So if you're craving something sweet, drink the tea
this.
instead of grabbing the candy bar.
That'd
And
be good for
it
you.
says here on the instructions, it says do not sweeten.
Correct.
Right?
I don't.
So-
I've learned that I don't like eating American sugar. I won't eat it.
Okay.
It's better, like we go to Trader Joe's, and most of that stuff is not from America. It's better for you, and it seems to be a little bit different than it's like even when I eat an American candy bar, I feel terrible afterwards.
Yeah.
Always really bad because it's so processed and so messed up. When I eat something that's sugar from Trader Joe's, I don't feel that way after.
Like
It's
one of
just-
the
I feel
imported,
fine.
the imported chocolates or
Yeah.
something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that might also be some of those chemicals that they're
Yeah,
using in
yeah,
the
that's what I think,
American
too.
chocolates, where
Yeah.
if it's just like cacao and cocoa butter
Yeah.
and some kind of a natural sugar, and if it's dark chocolate, it doesn't have that much sugar in it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
How do you feel about things like stevia and honey? Do you think that they...
Just because they're natural doesn't mean that they're absolutely right for you. Now, honey has medicinal properties, especially raw honey, but it will, if you eat it, it's still going to spike your blood sugar.
Yeah.
And stevia does not contain any kind of sugar. I personally don't like stevia. I don't like the way it makes me feel, but other people, it doesn't bother them. But the trouble with the artificial sweeteners, whether they come from a plant or they come from a laboratory, what happens is your brain is perceiving sweetness. And so you're looking for that hit of glucose, because glucose and oxygen are the two main foods that are for your brain. And so when your brain is not getting that glucose, then your sugar cravings increase. Like you keep wanting more and more sweets.
wanting more.
And the artificial sweeteners also have a negative effect on your gut flora.
Yeah, whenever I have an artificial sweetener, my nerves start getting affected by it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I get knee pain, elbow pain, so I can't eat it.
Yeah.
And it also makes them go to sleep. Makes you
No,
sleepy.
regular sugar can make me.
That's
Like if I'm
true.
having trouble going to sleep, I'll eat some Trader Joe's. Those what are those things?
Those dark chocolate.
Those dark
peanut butter
chocolate, like 3 of those, and I'll
Okay.
be out in 20
I think
minutes.
that's actually a really bad
I'm
sign.
hypoglycemic. It's probably a bad way, but it works. I'm doing it forever.
Well, you can't, if your sugar's too low, you can't sleep.
Yeah, that's probably what
Yeah.
that could be. What it is. Yeah,
Yeah. But there's other ways to
I'm
raise
sure,
your blood sugar
But
without
I do like
sugar.
those Trader Joe's.
It's so interesting. We actually talked to a sugar expert. She wrote the book Sugarless, Dr. Nicole Avina, and she said the same thing about the stevias, like almost word for word, that your body is now looking for that hit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so you just are like, I need something. Where is it? It didn't get what
Right.
it expected with the sweet trigger, right? So interesting. So interesting.
I'm actually working on a book right now
Oh, okay.
on how to get off sugar. Can I cuss on here? Okay. The title of the book is Sugar Can Fuck Itself.
Sugar can what?
Can fuck itself. And I
love
titled
sugar, I'm not
I
gonna
title it like that because when people really want to get off sugar, it can feel like really impossible to do.
Right.
It can feel like daunting, and there's also so much pleasure that's in it. Like you don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
So you can feel, just like with alcohol, just like with drugs, you can feel
Yeah.
powerless
Yeah.
to give it up. And so when you say something like, you can just fuck off, that puts you in a position of power. It just puts you in this attitude and frame of mind, like you can just go. Like you're breaking up with a sociopathic narcissist who
Well,
is sweet
that's-
to your
yeah.
face and who's secretly plotting to kill
Well,
you.
that's what you have
Yeah.
to do with drugs. When drugs are your enemy, you have to literally break up with them and cuss them out and send them away because
Yes.
they'll destroy your life because they become your best friend. They do.
Yes. Yeah.
I love what you just said because I feel like that's such a perfect description of sugar too.
Like
A
she's been off.
sociopathic
You've been off it, right?
narcissist that's sweet and nice to your face, but secretly trying to kill you. That's like totally a perfect description for
You've
sugar.
been off of it for how long now?
Okay, so I had gone off of sugar right as COVID, like right before COVID happened.
Okay.
We were doing one of those like Whole30 detoxes, me and my kids.
Okay.
And we were reaching our 30-day mark where we could go back to like, right as COVID was going crazy. And so at that point I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not tanking all of our immune systems when there's this virus floating
Good.
around. So we kind of were off of it. We were doing an 80-20 thing. And I've talked about this before on the show about how we would eat clean at home. And then the 20% was, so at home we tried to be 100% clean so that we save that 20% for when we're out and about, where it's a lot harder to control. But right before Todd and I got married back in 2022, I started it was actually my bridal shower. The girls I have a gluten and dairy intolerance, but they'd gathered this tray of beautiful goodies that were gluten and dairy free, but they did have the sugar. And so I was like, well, it won't matter. I'll just have a little. And then I had some of our wedding cake, and then it was the holidays, and then I was stuck on sugar again.
Yep, you're back into it.
Yes, and I could
blink
not
of
get
an
off
eye.
until March of this year. Finally, I had gained over 15 pounds, and
Sure.
the only difference was that I was eating sugar again.
Yeah.
And also a whole host of health problems. I was having like bladder issues. I was having, all kinds of other health issues. And I was going to the doctor, and I was like, I used to not eat sugar, and now I am. And they were kind of like, well, probably. I was like, but inside I knew if I just would stop eating the sugar again, probably a lot of these health issues would go away. So in March of this year, I finally gave it back up. So
Congratulations. That's an accomplishment.
It is
You should
hard.
high five
Hey,
yourself.
it's a huge compliment. I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
No way. I've given up way too much to
Yeah.
give up that too.
I think it's about 6 to 8 weeks before really hard.
Yes.
And then I feel like it gets a lot easier
Well,
to
I
manage.
think that's how it is, though, even with drugs. It's the same thing. It's the first couple of months that are the roughest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then once you finally break away from it, it's not as rough anymore because you can play the entire tape in your head of what's going to happen if you do it.
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
if you can't play that tape in your head, then you're like, you're done. You'll be back out doing the same thing.
You just said it right there. You play the consequences.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you tie the action to the consequences. Because that, instead of just acting, like
Yeah,
I have
oh,
a
yeah.
craving and then I'm going to go act. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it, at places, and I'd be like, "Oof, I ain't doing that. Y'all good. Y'all have a good time." Because I know
what?
where I'm going if I do that. But they, some people, unfortunately, what I always say is, I believe the whole world is full of addiction
Yes.
in different ways. People have their own diseases. But some people can do a line of cocaine and go, "Wow, that was way too strong. I ain't doing that no more," and walk away. See, that would happen to me. I'd be like, "Wait, that's too strong. Keep going." And then I'd be throwing my life away.
Yeah.
But I just think that we all have our own different problems, whether it's you work too much or you eat too much sugar or too much drugs, or it's always something. We have to find the happy medium in the middle to make ourselves happy and not hurt ourselves at the same time.
Well, and I love what Kita is sharing with us too, because I think you're onto something there. That I think there is this. Everybody has sort of like, I hate to call it a crutch because I think that has such a negative connotation, but there's something that we kind of lean on and that helps us. And the trick is to let that something be something that's good for you
Right.
instead of bad for you.
But
Exactly.
listen, working out is good for you. But if you work out 24/7, you're throwing your family away, and you're just like, "Oh, I gotta go to the gym." Then it's not healthy for you at that point.
You're
Exactly.
right. Yeah, always has to be within reason.
Yes,
Right.
within reason and within health reasons, within your family.
Exactly.
The most important thing is family. That I do know. So.
Well, one of the difficulties with giving up sugar is that the consequences are not immediately tied to the action.
Yeah.
So, like if you're going to do drugs, right? You shoot up or whatever, then you're feeling like crap afterward.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you drink too much, you have a hangover.
Yeah.
So the consequences are immediate and they're tied
Yeah.
right to it. But with sugar, you eat sugar, you might have a little tummy ache, but it's nothing really serious. And then suddenly your kidneys start to fail. Or you have diabetes or your eyesight starts failing. But it's so gradual and it seems like it's
Sneaky,
a thing
Yeah.
that's unrelated. And somebody
Right.
says it's related, it doesn't really compute. So you don't feel that immediate set of consequences, which makes it harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing. Which unfortunately, that's how alcohol is. Alcohol is a killer that slowly destroys your body, and before you realize it, there's no coming back from heart disease, bad kidneys, bad liver. I just experienced that with my adopted brother. He drank like viciously all the time, and his body gave out.
Yeah.
And he was only 50 years old. So.
Yeah.
So I've read that in prison you had traded a pair of silver bracelets for some suede boots instead of for drugs. And why does that still feel important today? Can you tell us that story? And
Yeah, it was one of those pivotal moments. You know how in life where you know that there are certain crux moments
Yeah.
when like it's a crossroads time. And it was just this split second decision where I was able to think through, just like you said, I was, she said, I can get you anything. And I had been sober for, I don't know, close to a year. And then I started thinking about, oh yeah, gosh, I could have what I want. I can have some cocaine. Jeez, ooh, that sounds good. But then I would have to figure out how I'm going to keep getting it.
Exactly.
And it's going to be a lot more expensive in here, and I don't
yeah.
have that pipeline of income. And so I thought it through, and then I looked at her shoes, and I thought her boots were like super cute. And so when I offered to swap her the bracelets for the boots, I was afterwards when I realized, like, oh wow, I had just made a decision. Because if I would have said, yeah, just get me X, then I would have been back in that
loop again.
again.
But
Yeah.
that's very funny because I don't think a guy would have been looking at the boots going, I'm gonna trade for them boots. I don't think dudes do that.
Probably not.
I mean, some
Boots,
do.
no, we're not gonna be the but most people are gonna be on, man, them boots are super cool or super cute. I'm gonna get those boots. I need to get bracelets for the boots. I don't think
Well,
Yeah, well, the guys probably would have been.
bracelets might be looking
usually
at the
we're gonna
boots,
take
so-
the boots. If you're in prison, you're gonna probably take them.
Yeah. Yeah. Women are a lot more cooperative
Yes,
in those
yes.
situations
Oh,
than
yeah.
men are. Yeah. So it was one of those pivotal moments when I realized what I did. Like,
Yeah.
I realized, oh, holy crap! I just made a decision to not go back there.
Wow.
Yes.
Mike, I do have a question. How long were you confined for?
A total of 7 years. I was in for a year and a half, and then I was out for 8 months, and then I went back for 5.
Because for me, it has made me very claustrophobic.
Sure.
Like, I do not like to be locked in. Like, if I'm in a car and the window won't go down, I'm like, no, I can't ride here then.
Yeah.
I have to feel like I have a little freedom in what I do. It's like,
Yeah.
I used to be, before that, I used to be able to crawl in small tunnels and do strength, I was fine with that. It wasn't claustrophobic at all. But then after that experience, like, all of a sudden, I became very claustrophobic with situations where I can't get out of.
Yeah.
Well, take us from there to loose leaf market.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, because when I was in there and I, made the decision to not do drugs, and then I made the decision to learn about plants.
Nice.
Yes. And so I didn't know what that was going to look like when I got out. And I had a few
Did you start
years-
studying in there? Was there the ability?
There weren't really any resources, so I
Okay.
learned a little bit, whatever I could.
There weren't
Right.
a lot of books in there?
There weren't any books on herbalism in there, so.
That'd be hard to get.
So from my mentor, she taught me a few things.
Yeah.
But it was actually, when I thought about it, it was actually a lifelong interest. Like I can remember when people showed me certain plants when I was little. I remember those plants.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I was always very interested in them. Like my grandmother, she was from Russia, and she knew what plants were food, what plants were healing.
So you already
I have
had
a
the
nephew who's
seeds
like
there
that.
and kind of a little bit of that early growth, and then it
Yeah.
just got
Yeah.
fertilized and started to.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It sure did get fertilized. Yeah, so when I got out, I had never lived in the free world as a responsible adult.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know.
How old were you when you were out?
When I got out, I think I was 28, close to 29.
Okay.
Yeah, I got out February of 28th of 1992, and then I turned 28 that following June. So, or 29 that June. So
I didn't learn until February 24th, 1993. That's when I never went back again.
okay, yeah. Well, I knew that I was not gonna I just kind of knew in my heart and spiritually that I was not gonna have rope anymore.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't gonna be allowed to get away with
Yes.
stuff anymore. So I knew that I had to stick to a good path.
Right.
And so I looked for opportunities, and I didn't really know what that was going to be like. And I found an herbal program, a few years later, that it was Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. It was the first time they offered their Western herbalism program. It was 500 hours, and it was
Okay.
super comprehensive. I said, yes, that is exactly what I'm looking for. So I went through the program, made some friends. At the end of the program, I was going to start a business with them, and then I was going to start a business with somebody else, and nothing ever really came together. So I still knew that this is what I needed to do, but I didn't know how it was going to look like. And I was working part-time in an herbal store, and the owner of the herbal store said that they were going to move out of town, and they wanted to sell their store that I was working at. And I had never saw myself as a shop owner.
Right.
I didn't know, I thought, I don't want to be confined to one place. But I thought about it, and then I watched the movie Chocolat. Did you see
love
it?
that
I've
movie.
seen that movie,
Do you
yeah.
remember that
A long
one?
time ago,
Such
yeah.
a good one.
Right,
I've seen
so-
it several times. I love that movie.
Me too. And so I really related to her character. She was a single mom, and her magic and her connection with her customers was through her chocolate. And I thought, oh, that's me through herbs. So I really related to it, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I was miraculously able to get this store and become the owner of an herbal store. And that is the beginning of it. So I ran it as part of their larger umbrella. It was like a little tiny franchise at the time. Mm-hmm. And then after a few years, I knew I needed to kind of break off and do my own thing. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and I opened up an adjacent vegan restaurant with a focus on like healing food and all of our teas and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And so I had the store and I had the restaurant, and it was a lot because I was
Restaurants
also
are a lot,
single mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Restaurants
Yes.
are a lot.
And so I ran the two concurrently for about 7 years. I had the restaurant for 7 years, and the restaurant was just draining all the resources. And I was also starting to notice that people didn't really understand the concept of herbalism. They didn't understand what we were doing. And it was starting to be like more and more people I was noticing just seemed to treat it kind of like it's like woo-woo, or this is like just healing.
Yeah.
This is that's, if you take it, it'll help your body. It's not going to be a miracle thing. You have to use it. It might not be perfect, so you might have to come back and try something else, but plants will work with your body.
Well, and it's funny that it seems like it's so out there where if you go back, like I've been to like Colonial Williamsburg and a bunch of different things like that, like all these villages had someone that, like an apothecary that would have the plants and the things that you needed to do what you needed. So it's a very traditional,
It is.
like a requirement. You needed that. You needed a church. You needed an apothecary.
Yeah.
You need, like,
Because even in Africa, that's what they had. They had the witch doctors, but they gave them, it was always medicine,
Right.
with plants and all that kind of stuff.
So it's not crazy at all. It's actually been with us forever.
It has been with us forever.
But we got away from it because
Yeah.
we got into more of fake medicine.
Right.
Yeah.
So people they were just uncomfortable with it, and so I decided to close the restaurant because it was a losing battle.
A money grab, yeah.
So I let that go. It was very hard to let that go. I was depressed
Because it
about
was your
that
baby,
for a
right?
while. Yes.
Yeah.
But I also rebranded the retail concept to be called Loose Leaf Tea Market, because before that it was called Chakra 4 Urban Tea House, and I knew about the chakras from my mentor.
Right.
I learned about all that stuff back in the 80s, but people didn't know what they were. So I started to realize only a very tiny percentage of people are comfortable with the more
words.
fringy
Yeah.
things like herbal tinctures and stuff like that. But everybody's comfortable with tea.
Yeah.
And so I gave it a name, Loose Leaf Tea Market. So if we have loose leaf teas, this is where you buy them. And there was no ambiguity
Yes.
Gotcha.
to the business. And over the years, I just started kind of refining, streamlining, listening to my customers. What do they need? What do they really want? And so I've been paring down. I used to have like hundreds of tea blends. Went down from hundreds to 60s to 50s to 40s to 30s. And now we have like maybe 15, 16. But these are the ones that are really targeting what our customer needs. And the majority of our customers are women over 40.
Wow. Do you actually go somewhere out of the country to find different teas too?
No,
No?
we
Do you have someone who does that for you?
no, we have trusted suppliers who source like all organic materials, and then they third party test them to make sure that they're clean, they don't have any contaminants in it, they don't have any
Gotcha.
mold or heavy metals or anything, and then they're released to us, and then we blend everything in house.
Okay.
So we do all of our manufacturing, our packaging, our fulfillment. So we don't use a 3PL or anything like that.
Yeah. Look at that.
I
That's
like- I
amazing.
do like the packaging because the packaging it seems very like perfect.
Clean, it's
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
clean. It's
Yes.
not a lot of craziness where you're looking at the packaging going,
Thanks.
you're kind of looking at it and it's easy going, which is cool.
That is the whole thing.
Yeah, she believes in that.
When I went from a complicated herbal store to something that's really simple and really clean and easy to understand, because most people are not used to this.
Yeah.
Make it an easy entry point. This is very sound business advice as well, of just simplifying and focusing on what you want to be good at.
Yeah.
I love how you talk about like listening to your body and kind of being guided like it's a skill that you have developed. And I actually think that's really wise to see it that way.
It is, and it's like a muscle that we can develop, but we have to use it. So
Yeah.
a lot of times we don't pay attention to our body. Like I am so hypersensitive, and I think a lot of people with a history of addiction might be so sensitive that they, tried to dull that. but I am very sensitive, and so I pay attention. And but I think that anybody can pay attention. Like, how do you feel right now? Are you hot? Are you cold? Are you in pain? Is your appetite present? Do you not have an appetite? Are you eating with or without an appetite? All those things.
Paying attention and listening to what your body is telling you. Yeah.
That's it.
Did you bring a tea that's for like sore joints and pain?
For you, I sure did. It's
Good.
called Joint Support.
And if you go on Loose Leaf Tea Market, they have an amazing blog, Kita. I think that's your effort, right?
Yes.
There, and it's very informative.
Can
and
you give us
so,
the tea blog? What's the name? What's the name of your website?
Oh, it's looseleafteamarket.com.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So remember
Yeah.
that.
Super great. I am so glad that you were able to join us.
Yes.
We learned a lot from you, Kita, and I feel like there's so much more that we can learn. I've been loving your website. I've actually been reading the blog. So
glad.
And now for our little final part of our episode, we always do a segment called ToddFlix, where Todd shares the show that he's been binging on recently.
Well, when you're in the TV business, you always watch a lot of TV shows. And this one today is called The Godfather of Harlem. It's about Bumpy Johnson in the 60s. And what's interesting about it is he was one of the first black guys who were able to work with the mafia in those days. But what makes it so good is Forest Whitaker is the lead of it. And it's a whole bunch of stars in it. And it's a great show. The acting is just truly amazing. It can be a little violent at times, but that's what mob people did back in those days. But ultimately, Bumpy Johnson in the show, it's like 4 seasons of it. He ultimately wants to go on a straight path, but what always happens is no one wants you to go on the straight path when you want to go on the straight path. Because I remember when I went on the straight path, I had to get rid of all my friends. I couldn't have anyone around me because they didn't want me to be straight.
Yeah.
I knew I had to do so.
Kita's over here shaking her head.
Yeah, because that's what happens. If you want to do things right, you can't be around those old friends because they're going to put temptation in your way. And that's virtually what happens. They actually leave Bumpy Johnson no other choice but to have to end up going back. And I think season 5 he's going to end up going back to what he used to do. But it's a great show.
So where can they watch it at?
You can watch it on MGM.
Plus?
It's on MGM Plus. It's on their site. It's good.
Awesome.
Or if you're like me, you can watch it anywhere. Just kidding.
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, dang.
Dang. Thank you so much.
Do you
really
want to say
appreciate
dang,
it.
Kita?
Like and subscribe.
End the show by saying
Yes.
dang.
Dang.
You say, dang, her tea is great.
Dang.
Go to her website, looseleaf.com, right?
Dang right.
Looseleafteamarket.com. Go there. Check it out. I'm Betty Jo. Just kidding. I'm Todd, and this is Betty Jo. Thank you so much. And our wonderful guest is
Kita Centella.
Nice to
We'll
meet
see
you.
you
Thank you
next-
so much for coming on our show.
Thanks
We'll
for
see
the
you next
invite.
time. Like and subscribe. Dang is produced by my wife, Betty Jo Bridges, in collaboration with Star Worldwide Network Studios, and edited by our daughter, Adelie Ann.
She's also the musician responsible for our theme music, so go check out Adelie Ann wherever you stream your music. Have a question or topic you want us to cover? Send us your suggestions at dangpodcast.com.
Do me a favor. Please subscribe and rate our podcast to make it easier for others to find. Have a great week.
Yeah,